I'm a 30-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Joined at the age of 17 from a very small town in Hogansville, Georgia. Always wanted to be in the military. My father and his brothers were all soldiers, Vietnam veterans. My grandfather on their side was a World War II veteran in the Army. And I felt like I grew up around giants, just with the reputation that they had. The Veterans Court in Texas was originally started in 2009, and it was a program that was just for combat wounded veterans that were coming back and dealing with things like PTSD, brain injuries, any sort of trauma that they had experienced while serving in a combat zone. In 2015 or 2016, that changed, and it just became a program for anyone that was service connected, whether they were deployed to combat or not. But we bring them into the program, we give them the treatment that they need, and at the end of that year, they've conquered those things and they've moved past it. The charge is expunged and they get to wipe that off their record, and they get a fresh start, and they get to go back out and be contributing members of society in the proud way that they were before that happened.
I came from a family where many of the men had served. My uncle served in World War II and was taken prisoner and was a prisoner of the Germans for a little over a year. It inspired me to join. I wanted to live up to the example they'd set. I enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve right out of high school. My ultimate goal was to get into aviation. To do that, at some point, I made the decision to transfer to the Army Reserve. And I served about 4 years as a helicopter crew chief there. Then I attended officer candidate school and served as a combat engineer officer for a little more than 3 more years. In this particular case, when we deal with veterans, the issues that their interaction with the criminal justice system is generally based upon a substance abuse or mental health diagnosis that is connected with their service in the military. That deployment, that time overseas is generally spent in combat. They come back with issues that must be addressed, and sometimes those issues are latent. They just sort of lay behind the scenes until they raise their head. And there isn't a reason, there really is not a reason to make that a permanent stain on their life's record. And the prize at the end of it is if they do everything we ask, the charge will be dropped, everything will be expunged, and it truly is a fresh start.
I just finished and completed the Tarrant County Veterans Treatment Program. It's a super intensive program. It focuses not just on the problem that brought you there, but on overall health.
Being a veteran, to me, is something I'm extremely proud of. When you're at a game and you hear the national anthem play and things of that nature, you just have a deeper connection to it. Working in a position that is specifically designed to help veterans gives me an opportunity to give something back. Veterans Day gives us an opportunity to recognize that service and that sacrifice in tangible ways. A lot of people, will always thank veterans for their service, and that's greatly appreciated. But you'll see most, it almost feels awkward to hear it because you do it because you love it.
As an officer, when I had an opportunity to lead soldiers, all of a sudden something changes, and that bond, that ability to be with them in the field, to lead them, to solve problems together, that created a bond where, as I sit here today at the age of 58, my best friends are still soldiers I served with over 30 years ago. I, as the presiding judge, get to meet with them twice a month to remind them that as veterans, we love them for their service. As citizens, we're holding them accountable for their conduct. And in the end, if they'll live up to the legacy of what they have done with their lives as service members and the challenges that we place on them in the court, that I will make sure as the presiding officer that they walk out that door at the end of the process with a clean slate, full expunction, and an opportunity never to have to go into detail about that event ever again.
Put them through a program that's built on 4 phases. All 4 phases are designed around treatment. It's very specific. They get the treatment that they need for whatever has handicapped them. And most of the time that's just bad coping mechanisms, where you may have a veteran in the community that ends up getting a DWI charge, but it's mainly because they've had this trauma happen to them and they didn't really know how to cope, because the military doesn't do a great job of teaching us or supplying us with ways to cope with certain things. But at the end of it, they're so grateful, they're so thankful, they're so proud of what they've accomplished and what it has given back to them and their families. It's saved marriages. It's powerful.
The program had forced me to work on my sobriety, in my mental health, and to create a positive outlook upon my life.
In my world, in this county, it's a prototype. If we're successful working with veterans in this context, we could be successful with other target members of the population, youthful offenders, people with mental health diagnoses, people who have a substance abuse issue. So these former soldiers and sailors don't realize it, but they're carrying forward an opportunity that could reap benefits for other members of the community. So I'm proud of them for coming in and owning up to it, because it's not easy to walk in there and say, I apologize, I'm sorry for what I did. But knowing that what they're going to do may affect others, not just their family, but literally other people they'll never meet, I think that's pretty sizable and it's extraordinary.
Veterans Day is generally only reserved for one day of the year, unfortunately. And this program looks at veterans 365 days a year.
You see the shift in them, and you see the changes, and that's the best part. For anyone that would like to find out more information about the Ellis County Veterans Treatment Court, or contact us directly, you can go to the Ellis County website. The Veterans Treatment Court page is on there under the Government tab. All of my contact information is there, email address, phone numbers, all the forms needed for someone to determine eligibility. Everything that you could want to know about our program is on there. And if there's a question that you have based on what you read and you don't see the answer there, feel free to call or email me. I'd love to answer those questions for you.